Fantastic. I mean, I think the first thing to say is how terrific it sounds. For me, and it's interesting because obviously I haven't spoken to my colleagues yet, for me, I think it instantly needs to be Beethoven. And I felt like it became more and more brave as the movement went on. But I wonder if from the absolute opening, there can be no doubt. It was maybe on occasion for me, I suppose, slightly mannered. And I wonder if I can, especially in a room like this, I think maybe more articulation, slightly more bite, even in the pianos. Like it's somehow in the bow more than in the piano, actually. I just wonder if there could be. I don't know. Did you? I don't know if you.
Yeah, I
agree.
found that sometimes on cadence points, specifically maybe in the cello, when you have kind of 4 harmonies in a bar, crotchets. Times like that, I wanted a little bit more firmness, but I can't think of a specific one now.
Should we go from the top? Do you want to just start it again? Fab. Actually, I already thought that was better, and I love your softer. I absolutely love the way you articulate bar 5. But I wonder if you can. Can 3 be? Can it lift even more? Can it be even more? Like I said, this kind of bite, almost a little bit, just slightly nearer the bridge, even in the piano.
Also, that bar is weird because it's like you get the E flat and then. You don't do a dominant, you do E flat 7. It's like a development section at the beginning. It's kind of funnier than, I love the 5th bar, is wonderful, but I wonder is there more to, harmonically is it more interesting?
We expect B flat 7, so yeah, it's really interesting.
So it seems like in this first kind of paragraph of music, it seems a little bit like he's using the subdominant as a way of creating longer phrases and extending it, I think. So I think he's using that D flat in bar 3 as a way of propelling us forward. Does that sound?
Yeah. Absolutely,
what you're saying? I have a question as well that relates to everything you've said so far. I think I really, really enjoy your tempo throughout the entire movement. So this isn't really a question about tempo, but I wonder, is it in 2 or is it in 4? I mean, it's written in 4, but I think it's quite easy in this movement, which is a very swift, fast movement. I think it's quite easy for it to lose a little bit of the possible excitement by feeling like the beat is too easy. Does that make sense? So even from the beginning, even though the harmony moves often in bars or in half bars, I think there's a kind of bustle about the 1, 2, and you do have that in a lot of the movement, but that's just a question really for you to think about as you rehearse it more, I think. We're going to go from the beginning again, I guess.
Yeah.
I just had one other thing for the first kind of 8 bars. So, where is it, bar 5? In bar 7, what is the harmony in that bar? C minor, yeah. Exactly. So, I think he's using that chord at that point just to prolong the phrase, basically. And it's also a very beautiful turn in the harmony. And I thought the second time you played it was actually a little bit more successful. But the first time, I felt like in the string parts, you could perhaps respond with the bow a little bit more to that harmony. Somehow, a little bit more tension in the bow. Yeah?
We've talked about the first 8 bars, but then there's that kind of 3-bar thing that ends with your first explosion. I wonder, could that sound even more like it was just sort of just bursting through a doorway into a new room or something? So I'd love to just go on till after that bit.
Fine, yeah. Something?
Right.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I think where we've just reached, personally, I think that's the moment where the movement can feel like it goes into 2. But I think until that point, I love John's idea of it being in 4. And I think giving away the 2nd and 4th crotchets of the bar too easily is a shame, actually. I thought that was better. I also think that it could all be a little bit louder. I think the pianos and the strings are too little. There's so many fantastic pianissimos in this movement, and I don't think we've had one yet. And I actually, when they came, I didn't think they were enough of a different colour, because I think your piano can be just a little bit more generous, and still for me, more articulation. It sounds incredibly beautiful from even this close, and I think it just might get a little bit washed, a little bit just lacking in clarity from the back of the hall. So if you can just spit it out a little bit more. I think don't do anything different, just a tiny bit nearer the bridge, and it really will.
And then that'll solve
will
everything.
work.
I think somewhere like the crotchets in bar 2, I wonder Dominic, Leo. Oh no, Dominic's. No. Sorry. I can't read my own writing. Could you just play as the crotchets in bar 2? Great, okay. And then could we just hear the 2 string players doing the same thing? Yeah. And just one more time, see if you can unify exactly what's going on. The level of substance to the sound somehow is sometimes slightly different between the 2 of you. And now the piano again. Yeah, that's better. I think it's so subtle, but I think it's just having that little bit more body to the sound. So imagining that the 2 of you can also produce that really articulated chordal texture that the piano can. Yeah? I would still love to hear a bit more into the string, just a little bit more into the string at the C minor bit.
Yeah, I think you can enjoy the appoggiatura. He's so far, Beethoven has changed harmony so clearly, bar 3 and then bar 5, and then at 7, I think the appoggiatura can just tug a little bit more, can have a little bit more pull to it. Should we try one more time?
That makes a huge difference as well, just that extra articulation. We have, as string players, so much capacity for kind of wisp and trail in the bow, especially on up bows, you know, even at the beginning, down, up, down. And that's really great. It really makes it crackle a bit more. And then the second section, when the kind of more in two section, felt totally different. It characterized each bit, I think, so much more strongly.
Totally. I have a little question just overall about, you know, there's no doubt that you're playing it wonderfully, but what character do you have in mind at the opening as opposed to the second subject? What is it you're really trying to say?
I think maybe sort of the cheekiness of the opening and
Sure.
The sort of energy and fizz of it, and then the calmness of the second subject.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Beethoven is someone like who keys are so important, and E flat, it happens to be my favorite key, but you know, he used E flat, you know, the Eroica Symphony. It's a kind of the Emperor, you know, it's a kind of it's a strong key for him. It's a key, and I do wonder whether sometimes it's very tender what you do, and it's very, very cared for and beautiful and sweet. But I wonder, this energy that you're talking about, could it have a bit more muscle? Could it be a bit more of this heroic feeling some of the time? I miss that a little bit. I miss just a little bit of athleticism, I suppose. And then I think the second subject can be more tender. And at the moment, I don't feel maybe enough of this contrast.
I think when we get to the big cadences in F major, I don't have bar numbers, maybe 20 or something like that. I think that could be still more dramatic. Well, you do it very well, but I think from the audience perspective, I'm feeling like it could take more. So I think just the shock of that first dominant chord, and I think the sforzando. Oh, you have sforzando piano, don't you? Interesting. Is that right? Sforzando in the piano, but sforzando piano in the strings?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay.
Forte pianos.
Forte pianos.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
Do you want to have a look at this?
Yeah, I felt I see. Yeah. I felt like I wanted the forte of the forte piano to last just a little bit longer. It felt a little bit like you dropped in dynamic forte to piano, but a little bit we lost the substance of the chord, which will give it more excitement. And I think the actual F major chord could be a little bit more of a release from the dominant one. Yeah? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think you very much sound like you're playing for the musicians of the audience. We're loving it. You know, we've got our scores, and you're guiding us through it just stunningly. But I wonder, like, ultimately, when we're on stage, we need to play for the doctors and the lawyers and the bin men and the nurses and the people that don't have the score and don't know what sforzato means or what forte piano. You have to kind of erase these markings and replace it with an emotion or with a statement. And I still think that it's maybe too careful. I'm going to stand a little bit further back and have a listen, but...
Did you decide to slightly come away towards the top of the scale just before the fortissimo?
Like ever so slightly.
Little bit, yeah.
At least not to crescendo towards it, so it's
Yeah.
more of a surprise.
Yeah. I'm feeling like it's a little bit of a shame. Like I really want it to go to the top of the scale. But you know, just a thought. You know, you don't have to do it, but try it maybe. I think it's just something about that rocket going up that is just so exciting. Yeah. So should we play all of this again? Well, not all of it, but
Should we do it in 13?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
exactly.
Yeah.
wonder, what's exactly of the phrasing? We've got two exactly at 33, my favourite number. So it's two 4-bar phrases. I'm just wondering about the shape, if the phrasing could have been more sort of satisfying, like kind of 2 halves of a walnut. How are you shaping that first 4 bars, going on to the, whatever that chord is, C minor, or G major really? It sort of seemed to wave around a bit, and I wasn't really sure what you're...
Yeah, it feels like we don't connect bar 2 to bar 3, really.
Yeah, it's that note, that dotted minim has to have enough potential in it to... Oh, sorry, making a mess. It has to have enough potential in those 3 beats to last you the next kind of 8 beats. Do you know what I mean? And sort of, if it doesn't, then you sort of wave around a bit. And I wonder if you could... Do you have a sort of architectural decision there? It feels like a question phrase and then a resolving phrase to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe the whole 4 bars can open a bit more. So that,
kinda goes up
so you
and
can
then
make
there's
this, and then in the 8th bar of that, bar 41, I think it is, or sorry, bar 40 into 41, I think these quavers in the violin part, I think you can have a bit more fun with them. I think the beauty of the piano trio is that actually we really are hearing everything. This is such a perfectly crafted work that I don't think anyone needs to be worried about covering anyone else or being too much in the background. Like, I think parts like that, I think you can just, like, those quavers, I think you can enjoy the intervals. I think you can enjoy the little blue notes, and I would think of it as like glitter, and certain quavers kind of sequence. One might catch the light and stick out, and one you might kind of poke Leo with one, and then, and it can be different every time. I don't think you need to, I think you all play together beautifully, but I would love a bit more opposition. I think you can wind each other up a little bit more. It's all very beautifully together all the time, and I think it's fine to oppose. Like I said, I think you need both. The blend is absolutely there, but I think you can slightly challenge each other more. I think just take risks. This isn't a place to be careful. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think music is ever really a place to be careful, but definitely not right now.
I think this section is a real trio texture, I think, and we really can hear everything. I mean, I can imagine myself in your rehearsal probably doing the same, making the same decisions that you do. I can almost imagine it. But from the perspective of being in a large space and listening, it's amazing to hear just how much sometimes as string players we need to play up in piano chamber music. So I think this is one part that you don't have to get out of the way too much, I think, for sure. I also had a question about the very little linking passage, the couple of bars that take us into this second section. So we have these massive fortissimo F major chords, great, and we land on 1 in octaves, and then so the cello this time round, you take us into the next thing. I wonder if you could try playing it as if you don't know what's coming. Does that make sense? So it's easily said than done, I have to say, but somehow the way that he writes this, it's almost like he's improvising and he doesn't know where he's going to go quite yet, and then he finds his way. So I think it's a little bit of a shame if it seems too planned. I wonder whether it could be more spontaneous. I mean, it does come a number of times in the movement, so I guess you couldn't do it this way every time, because it might become a bit over the top. But yeah, it would be nice to try that. And also the sforzando, is it a sforzando?
You're there.
Oh no, rinforzando. Interesting. Okay, that's what you've got, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, well, what did you come up with for that articulation or that kind of?
We thought in the first 4-bar phrase it was kind of quite deep and
Yeah.
sort of establishing the second subject.
Yeah.
And then the second 4-bar phrase a bit
More
sharper.
potential.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like both of those ideas. I think for me, the first one, just hearing that, what you've just explained, the first one for me isn't deep enough. It felt a little bit too much like what you're wanting from the second one, actually. Maybe a little bit too energized somehow. I don't know.
That first one has to bring you from we don't obviously change harmony on the first rinth, and then it has to carry you then through C minor, G major. Whereas the second one just has to, because you actually change the chord, and then it just has to get you to another inversion of that chord kind of thing.
So for the string players, maybe there just needs to be a little bit more potential in the bow left after that initial attack. You know what I mean?
It's hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Should we try?
could talk about this all day, couldn't we? If we go from
Just everything, do it more, and we'll tell you if it's too much. We'll tell you if it's too much. Let's try second subject.
Or maybe just into it. So
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Wherever-
two
wherever you
in or
like.
something.
Should we go from the F major chords?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that place.
Well,
That sounds brilliant. I actually sometimes when you're on the, is it Ionel? Is that right? Sometimes when you're on the D string in your quavers, I actually can't hear them that well, and I can hear them probably better than most people. But do you feel the same?
I just want way.
Just
I know
tiny bit lost.
it's so annoying when people keep repeating themselves. But I would love it near the bridge. I think just try going for a quality that you think will be too much, and we'll tell you if it is. Can I just also with this second subject, the beginning, the first subject of the piece is definitely kind of bar 1, bar 3, bar 5, bar 7, and the second subject changes it, so it's it turns it into bar 2, bar 4, and I think you can enjoy that more the way, and I think actually a lot of the function of that rinforzando on the second bar is to turn it upside down. Let's try one more time from the same place, and I think you can have a 2-bar melt into the second subject. It felt a little bit like a bar and a bar. Yeah. And quite often when Beethoven writes lines of sforzandos, lines of forte pianos, they're meant to be, cumulative, or they're meant to relate to the last one. They're not meant to be identical. So maybe you can do that more clearly.
Take a risk with it. I think it was already really great, actually. But I think, just try and exaggerate it so that it's almost too much, and then we'll tell you if it's too much.
It's also the resonance of the room, isn't it, though? Because it rings for so long that then your F has to have that little moment at the top where it then falls down. And it was almost, there was so much resonance that you would have had to wait a little bit longer on it, maybe. But I think it'll be such a difference.
I mean, for me, that was like completely different. I thought it was so much better. Absolutely. It felt that time like everything was crafted in the bows. There was so much more clarity. And there wasn't a single moment where I thought it was too much or anything, but it just spoke to me a lot more. I thought it had so much more character. I remember really being told by Thomas Riebel, I don't know if you know Thomas Riebel, the viola player, I remember him saying, why do you say instrument and bow? He was like, surely it's viola and the bow is the instrument. It's the tool, it's the paintbrush, it's the craft, it's how you speak. And this is kind of digital, you just make it work, you know? But here, this is the way we really speak. And that time I thought everything was just crafted more bravely. Before it was so beautiful, but a little bit ironed, and now I think it spoke much, much better. Did you guys? Were you happy?
You can see how much of a difference you're having to make, but it really comes across. It's great. Probably feels quite a lot under your ear, but it's great.
Yeah, I think you would be amazed actually, because I mean you probably felt like you had to play so much more than you had done previously. But in this acoustic, I mean, it could be different in any venue, obviously, but that was great. That
really
sounds
great.
Really satisfying balance to listen to. Just one very, very quick thing. We don't have to do it. But in the first phrase of the of this second subject, I still don't feel satisfied that you're really reaching your goal in that first phrase. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. It's sort of, it kind of opens a bit and then it closes again. Is that definitely what you wanted to do, or is it just kind of happening because it's an awkward phrase length?
Probably we're afraid too much of coming up to the pianissimo.
Yeah, I see. So the actual shape of the phrase, it feels like it sort of goes like that. But I wonder if that could be sort of over 8 bars rather than 4. Like really to the middle and then a bit more, but within a pianissimo.
I think as well, like dynamics are never a reason to not be brave about phrasing. Because like dynamics, we have P, P, MP, and if we've got like 6 or 7, whereas phrasings, we have like millions, thousands. So I think I would never be, I am guilty of it, we're all guilty of it, of, being too tied to the dynamics, to the score. And like I said, you have to kind of ignore the fact that it says PP and replace it with an expression, with an idea, and usually phrasing or articulation are the ways to make these ideas come true. And at the moment, it does just feel a little bit like you're trying to keep it piano or trying to keep it quiet, and so we're losing the shape. We'll forgive you if it gets a little bit louder.
Where are you going to in that first phrase? Just to reiterate that.
I was thinking bar 4.
I totally agree.
Yeah. I think we're all in agreement about that. I think you are doing that, but somehow there needs to be something more satisfying about maybe the bass line in the left hand and the cello going down to that low C, and then if you can echo that in your part as well. Do you know what I mean? Just a little bit more. I wonder whether, in terms of sound quality in pianissimo, it's very easy for us as string players to use a kind of very fast bow a little bit more out of the string. And obviously, that's very useful a lot of the time. I wonder whether in Beethoven and other classical composers, whether paradoxically to how we feel when we're playing, it might be a little bit less effective to do this than to kind of just use less bow in order to make it soft. Do you know what I mean? So slightly more substance to the sound with less bow, rather than less substance and a fast bow. Does that make sense? I mean, two totally opposite ways to make the sound, but the actual decibel level could be the same.
You're all guilty of just going floaty straight away when you want it to be pianissimo. And yeah, I think something a bit more, like actually kind of tighter, more tightly wound, like coiled. Should we try to get just one more time and then let's see the development section?
In the bit that comes afterwards, I think you could have much more fun with the chromatic passing notes in this part, and particularly the ones that are kind of da-dee-da-dee-da-da-da. It's kind of humorous, I think, kind of funny. And there was something else. Oh yeah, once we've gone through that lyrical section, handing over the da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-da, and you've got dum-billy-yum, billy-yum, I wonder whether you could feel a little bit more element of syncopation in those bars. You know which bars I'm talking about? Yes, exactly, yeah. Yeah, so he doesn't write any accents or anything in, but just a hint would be really nice, I think, because the trills being on the second and fourth crotchets. And then in the bars afterwards, those spread chords in the left hand of the piano, I wonder whether it could be more of a feature. What did you think about those? Did you make any decisions about how to play those?
Not
Nothing specific.
as a feature apart from just the whole tour as a whole
sure.
thing.
I just wonder whether he took the trouble of writing that they were to be spread. Do you know what I mean? And I wonder whether it could sound a little bit, it could add to the excitement and the interest of that little bit. Yeah?
Dominic, as well, do you think you could exaggerate all of the different articulations and slurrings you have at like 55?
Yes.
You know, when you have quavers and twos, and then 8, and then twos, and then separates, and then, and I wonder if they could all just be a lot more fun.
Yeah.
I think a lesser composer just wouldn't have done that. They would have written out the notes, but I think you can really enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
Same place then? great. It's great. Like I can, it's working really well on the most part. I feel like you're responding really, really subtly to the changes of harmony, and I can hear like, oh, you're going for these colors, but I feel like it's too subtle. Maybe it's in too good taste for me. I'm not sure. But I honestly, yeah, it is possible. They're the first ones to tell me. I just think instead of it being like one shade of blue and another shade of blue, I think it should be like just more obvious to the average listener. I think you can be much bolder. I quite often think about like the makeup of a bar, you know, and here, Beethoven, it's very much a forward-looking music, isn't it? Like the upbeats, if you think of them as upbeats, are incredibly long. You could just go ba-ba, but he goes ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. So more of the bar is an upbeat, is a forward moving gesture than is an arrival. And I think that even within those 5 quavers, I hear a bit up, down, up, down, up, down, instead of ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. You know, they don't really go enough. You know, I'm not suggesting you should do them all in up bows or anything, but I do think that there is something about that gesture that can help propel you to the every arrival point and the harmony change, you know. And then obviously in the other material, this bum, 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 the whole bar really has this upbeat feeling, this feeling of propelling you to the next point. And I think you can experiment more with it. I think you can use articulation more in your favor.
I just want to check something. That's tricky, isn't it? I would totally agree with Lucy in the kind of characterizing the keys, really. I think if you you need to inhabit each key so strongly that it creates friction then when you're away from it. And actually the one that's extremely stark is that C minor, when you've got like 4 bars of C minor and then the arpeggio together is obviously such a strong point. But then I was hoping it was wrong on my score, that downbeat when you're not piano yet. How are you negotiating the A flat major after it? That's a tricky one. You almost want to play it really, like play a load of C minor and then take a gap and then play A flat and then really feel how A flat will feel and then just close that gap between them. But it is tricky with that downbeat.
Can we try that?
Like just stopping on the downbeat of the A flat. Just
so
don't play it.
Can we do 109?
And just like ferocious. C minor for Beethoven is such a stormy, turbulent.
Exactly 3 bars with no downbeat. Can we try it?
You can even see the last crotchet, that last up bow. You just want to chicken out, don't you?
Yeah, try it again. And again, no downbeat. Let's see. Fantastic.
Or even do a C minor downbeat.
Yeah.
You know, just do
Let's
a C minor downbeat for one go, just to get the feeling. Yeah. But now with that exact dynamic, but just no actual note. Exactly that spirit, but don't play it.
Okay, and now as written, yeah. Good. Yeah. I think the minute it was in context, you actually started it less. So you are doing a subito.
I felt like actually the way you approached the string and the keys there for the A flat was absolutely perfect for the feel of the key. But I actually felt like you didn't need to play any softer. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like if you'd done exactly what you'd done, but with quite a kind of into the string or kind of very firm attack on the piano, I think it would have had that. Sorry?
Oh, on the piano instrument, I think.
Yeah.
The piano chord.
I think it would have had the same feeling, but be even more. We could respond to it as an audience more physically somehow. Do you know what I mean? I guess we're going to try that again, aren't we?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, just from the same place, I guess.
I still think you're slightly taking the easy way out. It kind of sounds like there's a subito piano on the downbeat. I think it could be more. And then Dominic, you can enjoy that first half of the bar, like creating the piano color, I guess, for a half a bar.
Yeah, maybe it could have a longer feel somehow at the start of the A flat bar. It's kind of we really kind of bask in the glow of that key.
Yeah.
For just a crotchet or so, before you have to kind of become.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that an editor 50 years ago would have scrubbed it out, moved the piano to the bar line.
In fact, they did in the
did they?
Yeah.
But I think we mustn't. We must be really brave, And then just after that trill sounds great, but I wonder whether what's going on here, whether you can just converse a little bit more and enjoy, this, it's such a gorgeous texture with the triplets in the bass and then the trill, and then you guys, it's so operatic, actually, I think, for Beethoven. Can we try one more time?
I think they could be a little bit more.
Yeah, I think you could be a lot more.
I think maybe you could be a bit more, yeah.
And Leo, sometimes when you, and when you're in your middle registers, sometimes when you have quite a gentle note, it sounds late. It's hard to hear the very beginning of it. And I think it needs to be prompt. Again, so don't be afraid to have a little bit of bite, Just that middle register. I'm a viola player, so it's always middle registers. I'm always having to speak every single bow. Let's try again. So much better. I feel like the articulation in the bow is massively coming, which I think is really great. Left hand now needs so much more. So I think putting your fingers down is good. I think it can be more almost percussive, but I think you could lift your fingers with more energy. When the note change happens by lifting a finger. I wonder whether there could be a more immediacy, more spring when it's within a slur. Just because there are moments where it's a little bit washy. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that, but I feel like if you lift a little bit more with energy, sometimes I am guilty of sometimes I actually pull a little bit to the side, almost left-hand pitsy, if it's a really bad register and I really want it to speak, because sometimes it's not so clear.
I'm just wondering about these, when you, actually, each one of you has this at some point, this da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum-bum-bum, the triplets, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I feel myself wanting them to be a little bit more skippy, up to the top, a little bit more momentum. yeah, so just listen out for it. Just the odd one just feels a little bit lacking in momentum. And the other thing I wanted to mention was going into the actual recap. What did you think about this kind of 4 or 5 bar little bit? Do you have an idea of how you want to play it? Any ideas about what's interesting about it?
Without any bar lines, really.
Yeah, great.
I thought you achieved that.
Yes,
I thought that worked. That really.
That last time was
really
really, really great. I thought. I think it could be even more. I just think it could take off more. It's a very, very short space of time where he moves. I don't know. He moves a long way with a lot of chords. The harmonic rhythm becomes very quick, and I think it could just shoot off, and that could be even more exciting when we actually reach E flat again. Do you know what I mean? You're already doing it, but I think it could be even more that feeling of no bar lines, as you say. Just a really long phrase.
Yeah. So, we talk about like meter being the hierarchy of beats in a bar. I think here it's definitely hypermeter, isn't it? The like hierarchy of bars in a phrase. And I totally agree. But I think not no bar lines, but bars are beats in a way. And then when you actually do get there, again, everyone in the audience, even if they don't know what sonata form means, everyone should know their home. It should be so, the feeling of arrival and the feeling of release at that, at the recap should be just palpable. Any human should be able to feel it. And it is fortissimo now, hey, and the beginning is forte. I think it could be more.
Yeah. I mean, 5 or 6 bars before the recap, we're kind of we're just meandering, basically, aren't we, in the dominant? We're not going anywhere specifically. And then suddenly the decision is made, and then we're off. Yeah? I think it could feel a little bit more like that. I think Beethoven must have been an incredibly willful kind of person, very, very exciting to be with, and I just think there's got to be something more exciting still here to find. Yeah? Where should we go from?
Maybe like 1, 5, 3?
Yeah?
Or do you want to hear more of these triplets?
Maybe have another go of that. Somewhere around there? Does that work? Or
I think 1, 5, 3 is good, if you guys are happy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I still think it could be more. Sorry.
it's like some kind of gravitational pull, like pulling you there. I think I don't know.
Yeah, and the
A little
detail.
bit more.
Bottom, isn't it?
Bits like the A naturals. Like I think they can sound different to the B flats. I can tell like really pull, and equally Dominic, where you have your G flats on the third beats. Yeah, and it's even the bar we began, like you can do whatever you want there. I think John's idea of them kind of being cumulative, I mean, that can mean a crescendo, it can mean they can have a little rush. No one's counting, I think you can enjoy it. Is it a good place to start, or?
Yeah.
Grant. great. That's good. You know, at 2-2-4, I think, so you've got sforzatos for the first 2 bars there, and then you don't, but they're in the piano part. So I think those 4 bars, for me, I do think they should get bigger, basically. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if you thought that. Sorry, you want to say something?
No, I was just wondering, at the recap, actually it's probably really clear to everyone now, because you, in the exposition, you had so much more time to introduce each theme, and we had the first one, which was really inquisitive and cheeky, and then we had the second subject. And now in the recap, I'm not sure if you could tell that everything is just squished together. It's as if you're kind of recounting a story, but you're doing it in a really excited way. You're kind of saying, and then this happened, and then this happened. And I wonder if you could even have more feeling of where things get compressed and cut off, and he does 5 bars instead of 8, and just a feeling of kind of barreling into the next thing with really excitedly, you know, this kind of, instead of just eking everything out and organizing it so well. Sometimes I feel like it needs just like a huge amount of momentum, feeling of like liberation into the next bit. So we feel like you've just told us a tale of, you know, something that happened, and our heads are spinning by the end of it in a way.
And also, the more highly characterized the themes are the first time round, when we have time to understand them and establish them, the better we'll recognize them in the recap.
Because the signposts are there.
Because, and we'll be like, oh, it's this bit, oh, it's this bit, rather than it just sounding like a lovely movement of, you know, and I think Peggy's right, like it is all just condensed, and you kind of pile in on top of each other with these themes. And they just need to be more characterized,
Yeah,
don't you
I
think?
think so, yeah.
And a lot of the character and the energy does come from the articulation. It really, really does. Can we try again the recap then?
The next thing.
Next idea.
New thing.
Really good. Leo, quite a small thing, but at 218 as opposed to 220. You begin the quaver a tiny bit late at 218, which is fine, but then I think you need to articulate it clearly, because the listener thinks at 220 you're again beginning on the second quaver of the bar rather than the third. You know what I mean? Yeah. So somehow you need to shape it, or maybe slightly show the half bar, so that we understand what's going on there. I thought that was great. I think the registers are really fun around 2, 3, 1 in the violin part. You get from, can you just play these few bars? And enjoy, like don't, I think it's really important that like, you know, when I'm playing, I imagine the A string is like silk, and the D string is like, you know, denim. And then the G string is like Velcro, and then the C string is like sandpaper, you know? And I feel like for you, it's all silk. And I think you can enjoy a little bit more, like the bottom B flat, and then really quickly, you're up on the E string, and then you've got 2 more in the middle. And I think you can just enjoy the colors and the way the bow relates to the string a little bit more, rather than trying to, it sounds all like it's on one amazingly long, beautiful string. But I don't think you should shy away from that. I thought that was much better. I absolutely love the way you're managing 240 into 241. I think that's, were you just about to say the opposite? Thought it was great.
240.
This moment here.
Yeah, the only thing I'm wondering about is it sounds too prepared for me. It's quite a striking piece of writing, and somehow you take quite a lot of time before the piano each time, and it almost kind of spoils it for me. I don't know, somehow it becomes too much like something you've rehearsed extremely well. And I want to feel like you're experiencing it for the first time, like we perhaps are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think somehow if you take too much time over it, it just doesn't feel spontaneous.
And I suppose an argument in John's favour, even though I just said the opposite, is that 240 does have a forte piano in the middle of it in the piano part, you know, which implies that, he doesn't need this preparation on the bar line that you guys need. So maybe, it could be a little bit less. It's a tricky moment, though. I think you're doing it well.
Did you realise you were taking that amount of time? Presume. Yeah. So So what was your reasoning behind it? What was you?
More time for the crescendo.
And the colour.
Yeah.
I liked it, so. But this is what would happen in one of our rehearsals. I would,
I think it's quite a dramatic moment, and for me, it's almost like
they're making it too easy.
Like it's kind of, it's like you found an incredible solution for it or something.
Yeah, but I know what you mean.
I don't feel like I'm experiencing it with you.
Yeah, try something different. Why not? Experiment.
Anything will work as long as it's strong enough. That's
Try and imagine that you don't know what's coming, basically. Harmonically or dynamically or anything.
I thought that was great, the registers. I thought, yeah. Yeah. great.
Great.
Right.
Yeah. I wonder whether all of those quavers at like 2, 6, 7 in the string parts, could they be more like popcorn? You know, this kind of really, just much more crunchy.
I was wondering
Again,
particularly in
Yeah.
the cello, because your string is so short there, maybe even more bridgy if it
yeah.
can take it.
And then it's such a great bit of writing then. 2-7-2, there's bop, 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 bop. Is, you know, I think you can have more fun with this again. He takes this thing that, you know, I've been describing as an upbeat. It's not really, it's a theme. But suddenly, you know, it's inverted and it's on the first beat of the bar. And, you know, I think you two can just, again, oppose. It's too blended. It's too much like two brothers that get on really well. I think you can have a little bit more of an argument. And then, you know, with these semiquavers that you have in the violin part, it's the kind of thing that if it was in a Beethoven symphony, I think lots of good conductors would ask, you know, the back desk to do it separate bows. You know what I mean? Everyone else do slurs. But I just think, again, it's this left-hand articulation thing. I think it can be so much clearer.
Just on that subject, I wonder whether, Dominic, you could be a little bit more, whether the pianissimo could feel more subito, actually. Again, I feel like you almost...
Prepare.
Yeah, you almost kind of diminuendo into pianissimo rather than it feeling like suddenly a new colour. And I think when we talk about it feeling like Beethoven, I think that's definitely something Beethoven I feel, would have wanted. It's a very, very specific marking. Whenever he writes pianissimo or fortissimo, you know he means business. But somehow if it's in the middle, it's less so.
Yeah, there's more room for interpretation in the middle dynamics, but I do think, yeah, a subito pianissimo means something quite serious. Yeah, can we do 2-6-1? And again, can we have this feeling of here, at this moment, can we have this feeling of accumulation? I mean, there's sforzatos for 4 bars in a row. I really do think each half bar should come up a notch.
And also, just to go back to this thing that I mentioned earlier about the piano spread chords, I wonder whether they're there as a way of kind of almost slowing down the flow of the music in a very exciting way. So like, which I feel like you kind of almost do. But I think you could do even more of that, and then it makes it even more exciting when we come out of that section somehow.
Should we go exactly there? 2-6-2. Really great.
Great.
Well done. Sounds
Fantastic.
wonderful. Fantastic. Really fantastic.
Really great.
Sounds so wonderful. Really.
Well done. Fantastic.
Sounds
Really
great,
enjoyed that.
Leon.
Here they come. Until there, isn't it? That was all right.